Welcome. We are so glad you're here joining us for another deep dive today.
It's great to be here.
I want you to think about the world you interact with every single day. We live in this culture that constantly praises the hustle, right?
Oh, yeah.
It rewards productivity. It celebrates the grind.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it so rarely stops to ask you about your actual purpose. It's like we're all driving at 100 miles an hour, gripping the steering wheel until our knuckles turn white, but nobody is checking the GPS to see if we even want to end up at the destination.
It is a profound modern dilemma. We are relentlessly trained on how to perform and how to succeed by external metrics. Get the degree, secure the promotion, buy the house.
Right, checking the boxes.
But we are almost never taught how to internally align. And the inevitable result of that is that we end up with a society full of highly capable but utterly exhausted people.
And that exhaustion is exactly what we are targeting today. Our mission for this deep dive is to completely dismantle the modern understanding of burnout. We want to help you discover the path to authentic self-alignment. And we are doing this through the lens of a Japanese concept you've probably heard of in passing, but might not fully understand. And that is Ikigai.
A fascinating concept.
It really is. We have a fantastic stack of sources for this today. First, we've got a highly detailed visual diagram mapping out the complex intersections of Ikigai. And second, a comprehensive step-by-step handbook written by Dr. Damalia Nandi.
Right, the founder of the Vitality Wisdom Hub.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Dr. Nandi is a PhD, and the handbook is titled Ikigai, Discovering the Japanese Secret to a Purposeful and Fulfilling Life. Okay, let's unpack this, because the way we usually talk about Ikigai in the West is actually a bit broken, isn't it?
It really is. In the West, we have a terrible habit of commodifying ancient philosophies.
Oh, totally.
We often treat Ikigai as just another career hack or maybe a motivational slogan for a corporate retreat.
Like a quick trick to figure out what job you should apply for next.
But if we look at the roots of the word, it's infinitely more profound. It comes from two Japanese words, iki, which means life, and gai, which means value or worth.
Life and worth.
Put simply, it translates to a reason for being. It's that quiet, underlying conviction that makes you want to wake up tomorrow. In places like Okinawa, Japan, which is famous for its high population of centenarians, by the way.
Right, the blue zones.
In Okinawa, Ikigai isn't some grand, dramatic mission statement written on a whiteboard. It is woven quietly into the subtleties of daily life.
That distinction is so vital. It's not about constant explosive happiness or jumping out of bed cheering every morning. It's about a quiet, sustained vitality. And that actually brings us to one of the most striking concepts from Dr. Deb in the entire source text. Listen to this argument. Burnout is rarely caused by hard work. It is caused by misaligned work.
That's such a powerful reframe.
It really hits you, right?
Yeah.
Think about how often we assume we're burned out simply because we're doing too much, clocking too many hours. But the handbook argues we're actually burned out because we're doing the wrong things.
Exactly.
You can work 12 hours on a project you care about and feel completely energized, but then you spend 45 minutes in a pointless status meeting and feel like you need a 3-hour nap.
We've all been there. What's fascinating here is how modern life structurally fractures us. It separates our daily work from our sense of meaning. It separates our income from our actual contribution to the world. So we end up performing these roles that look incredibly successful from the outside, impressive titles, nice salaries, but they feel completely hollow on the inside.
Yeah.
And over time, that cognitive dissonance, that fragmentation, it just drains your energy. You might not even realize why you were so deeply fatigued. You think you need a vacation, but what you actually need is coherence.
Coherence. I love that word for this.
Ikigai is the antidote to that fragmentation. It's about putting the scattered pieces of your life back into a single integrated picture.
And to build that integrated picture, the visual diagram we're looking at breaks Ikigai down into 4 core pillars. It's brilliant in its simplicity, but it's really challenging when you actually try to apply it to yourself.
It forces some hard questions.
Let's dive right into the inner pillars first, the 2 that start completely inside of you. The first pillar is what you love.
Right.
Now, the handbook makes a crucial distinction here. This isn't just about what you casually enjoy, like watching a movie or eating good food. It is an audit of your literal energy. Dr. Deb asks you to look for time distortion. Think about it right now. When in your life do hours feel like minutes? When do you look up from a task completely absorbed and realize half the day has vanished, yet you don't even feel tired?
That concept of time distortion is a brilliant metric because it bypasses your logical brain entirely and taps directly into your nervous system. Your energy doesn't lie.
No, it doesn't.
Many people struggle with this first pillar because they have spent decades prioritizing what is practical or what their parents expected of them. They've entirely buried their actual preferences beneath layers of performance.
Which is so common.
Right. So Dr. Deb suggests looking backward to childhood to find clues. Look at your life before social comparison shaped your choices. What fascinated you naturally? Because passion leaves fingerprints very early on.
But energy and passion aren't enough on their own.
Right.
I mean, you can love singing in the shower, but if you're entirely tone deaf, that isn't going to be your ikigai. Which brings us to the second inner pillar, what you are good at. And here's where we have to look in what the handbook calls the talent mirror. A lot of us are terrible at this.
We really are.
We either dismiss our real strengths as normal just because they come easy to us, or, on the flip side, we brag about skills we only learned for sheer survival in a stressful job.
There is a massive fundamental difference between natural ability and trained skill. Natural ability is what feels effortless. It's the way your brain naturally organizes chaotic information, or how you instinctively know how to de-escalate a tense room.
Right.
Trained skill is what you've acquired through sheer repetition and discipline, like learning to use a complex software program because your job demanded it. Ikigai requires both, but it's incredibly easy to be blind to your natural abilities because you assume everyone finds those things easy. Exactly. You don't value them because you didn't have to bleed for them.
To help figure this out, there's a specific actionable exercise in the source that is equally brilliant and terrifying. It tells you to go out and ask 5 different people in your life, friends, family, colleagues, this exact question. Asking 5 friends for unvarnished feedback sounds like a great way to either find your purpose or completely ruin your Thanksgiving dinner.
It's a risk.
But the point is, you don't argue. You don't act falsely humble. You just write down what they say. It strips away your ego to find the actual patterns of your competence.
It's an uncomfortable exercise for many, but it forces external realism. You gather that feedback, and suddenly you see recurring words. Maybe people keep telling you that you bring calm to chaotic situations, or that you simplify complex, intimidating problems for others.
Things you wouldn't necessarily put on a resume.
Right. Those hidden strengths rarely come with a certificate or a degree, but they carry the deepest impact in the real world.
So we have what you love and what you're good at. But if we stop there, we just have a very satisfying hobby. We have to move to the outer pillars, because purpose isn't just about optimizing yourself in a vacuum. Pillar 3 is what the world needs.
And this is where the major philosophical shift happens. If your life revolves entirely around self-optimization, your morning routine, your gym goals, your personal wealth, it eventually feels hollow. Human beings are fundamentally wired for contribution. But finding out what the world needs doesn't mean you have to look at massive global trends or solve international crises.
Honestly.
True contribution often starts with localized emotional frustration. Ask yourself, what broken system, what injustice, or what simple everyday inefficiency irritates you the most? What makes you look at a situation and think, this shouldn't exist and I know how it could be better? That irritation is actually directional energy.
Empathy shows you what you care about, but irritation shows you what you want to change.
Yeah.
If you hate how clunky a software interface is, or you're furious about how hard it is for elderly people to navigate the healthcare system, that's a signal.
It's a very clear signal.
But Dr. Deb drops a massive warning sign here regarding this pillar.
He issues a heavy warning against the trap of martyrdom. Many highly purpose-driven individuals believe that true service requires endless sacrifice.
Right, the hero complex.
Exactly. They think if they aren't suffering, they aren't helping. But serving without boundaries, sacrificing your rest, your finances, and your stability for a cause inevitably leads to resentment and nervous system collapse.
Yeah.
Martyrdom appears noble on the surface, but it is rarely sustainable. Intelligent service creates mutual uplift. It stretches your capabilities, but it doesn't chronically deplete your life force.
Which perfectly transitions us into the 4th pillar, the one people usually get very weird and defensive about, what you can be paid for.
Yeah.
This is practical sustainability. Ikigai refuses to divide meaning and money.
It grounds the whole concept in reality.
It does. But let me play devil's advocate for a second here. Doesn't injecting capitalism into this ancient, beautiful philosophy kind of ruin it? A lot of people feel that tying your passion to a paycheck kills the joy and turns it into just another grind.
That's a very common pushback. Modern conditioning often tells us that meaning is sacred and money is transactional, but you have to remember that compensation in the context of Ikigai simply ensures that your contribution can persist over time. If you can't feed yourself, your contribution eventually stops. The source provides a profound market reality check for anyone struggling with this. It says, point blank, you are not paid for effort, you are paid for value.
Ouch. That line is a serious reality check. You can work 100 hours a week agonizing over a project, but if you aren't delivering perceived value to anyone else, the market literally does not care how tired you are.
The text emphasizes moving away from the industrial linear model of selling your time, where your income is strictly capped by your physical exhaustion, and moving toward creating structured transformation.
Structured transformation.
Yes. Whether you are building systems, artistic works, frameworks, or scalable services, sustainability requires clear outcomes. If you want to survive doing what you love, you have to clearly articulate the specific transformation you provide to others.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The visual diagram source maps out what happens when these four circles overlap. And more importantly, it shows what happens when you only manage to integrate 3 of the 4 pillars, the traps. It outlines 4 specific traps that perfectly describe why so many of us feel fundamentally stuck. Let's look at these, because I guarantee you, or someone you know is sitting in one of these traps right now. The first trap is passion only. This is the intersection of what you love and what you are good at, but you have no market demand and no income. Think of the stereotypical starving artist. You have immense joy in your craft, but without income, your life is deeply unstable.
Right.
Eventually, the joy gets completely overshadowed by financial anxiety and the stress of keeping the lights on.
Then you have the second trap, profession only. This is when you are good at something and you get paid handsomely for it.
The golden handcuffs.
This is the classic golden handcuffs scenario where so many corporate professionals live. You're a senior manager or a corporate lawyer making great money, and you are highly skilled. The diagram notes that this provides tremendous material comfort, but there is an underlying gnawing emptiness. It lacks love, and it lacks broader meaning. You have total security, but you dread Monday mornings because your spirit is essentially numb.
Exactly. You're safe but bored out of your mind.
Yes.
The third trap is vocation only. You are doing what the world needs, and you are being paid for it. Think of maybe a mid-level worker at a nonprofit. You offer tremendous utility to society.
But there's a catch.
Right, because you don't genuinely love the day-to-day work, or maybe you aren't naturally suited for the specific tasks, you remain unfulfilled. You are highly useful, but you operating entirely out of duty rather than vitality.
And finally, the fourth trap, mission only. You see a world of absolute need, and you have a deep, burning love for the cause. But there's no income.
Like a full-time volunteer.
Yes, you are a volunteer activist pouring 50 hours a week into a community garden. This leads straight back to the warning we just discussed. Martyrdom. You have deep meaning, but you have zero sustainability, which inevitably leads to total physical and emotional exhaustion.
If you're listening to this, you might be diagnosing yourself right now, realizing you're stuck in the golden handcuffs or you're a burnt-out martyr. It can feel a bit overwhelming.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the profound takeaway from Dr. Bebb's handbook is that identifying your lowest pillar, the one circle you are missing right now, is not a sign of failure.
Right.
If you have passion but no money, building an economic structure is your clear next step.
That makes sense.
If you have a profession but no joy, finding emotional resonance and tweaking your daily tasks is your next step. Ikigai isn't asking you to blow up your entire life and move to a cabin in the woods. It's asking you to thoughtfully integrate the missing piece.
I love how relieving that is. You don't have to reinvent yourself overnight. But let's pause there, because we need to talk about what happens when life blows up on its own. I want to shift the tone and talk about Chapter 9 of the handbook. It's all about Ikigai under pressure. It's easy to talk about purpose when everything is going great. How does this philosophy hold up when you face real, devastating adversity?
Like a crisis.
Like a sudden job loss, a health crisis, or a major life transition.
Adversity is the ultimate stress test for purpose. When life is comfortable, purpose feels like a nice-to-have preference, sort of a luxury item. But in severe adversity, purpose becomes your fundamental survival architecture. The text is very careful to distinguish between physiological fatigue and structural burnout in these moments. Physiological fatigue means your body is tired. It's cured by rest, a weekend off, maybe some extra sleep.
Yeah.
But burnout, especially triggered during a crisis, is a crisis of meaning. You can't sleep off a crisis of meaning. It's only cured by realignment. Hardship forcefully compresses your life and acts as a clarity machine. It reveals exactly what foundation your life was actually built upon.
It strips away all the fake motivations.
Yeah.
If you build your life entirely on status and public approval, a hardship that damages your reputation will completely crush you.
Absolutely.
But if you built your life on genuine contribution, the hardship refines you. And to help with this, there are reframing questions in the text for you to use when you are going through a particularly dark season. Not to be toxically positive like everything happens for a reason, but to be deeply accurate.
Right, avoiding that trap.
The primary question to ask yourself is this: what is this situation demanding that I strengthen within myself?
That reframe is incredibly powerful because it shifts you away from feeling like a helpless victim of circumstance, allowing you to regain your agency. You certainly might not control the crisis itself, but you fully control your alignment in response to it.
You control your response.
And crucially, we need to acknowledge that resilience is not a solitary endeavor. Chapter 10 tackles the vital role of community, directly attacking the pervasive Western myth of the self-made individual.
The lone wolf grinding away in isolation until they reach the top. We see it in movies all the time, but the handbook argues that operating in isolation actually destroys your purpose.
Isolation fundamentally distorts purpose. When you operate entirely alone, your thinking narrows, your self-doubt magnifies out of proportion, and your emotional reactivity spikes. You have to actively curate who you spend your time with.
The people around you matter.
So much. If your inner circle is made up of energy vampires, people who complain constantly, who are cynical about everything, who drain your vitality, your purpose doesn't stand a chance. You must deliberately increase your exposure to growth-supportive relationships.
That makes a lot of sense.
Belonging to a community doesn't require everyone to be exactly the same or hold the exact same job, but it does require a shared direction and mutual elevation.
So what does this all mean? We've talked about the history, the 4 pillars, the common traps we fall into, and how to survive adversity. How do you actually use this today in your actual messy life?
The practical application.
Right. The handbook pivots to pure, actionable application so you can start embodying this immediately. It lays out what it calls a 30-day blueprint.
The blueprint is essentially a 4-part micro-alignment strategy. It is designed to build momentum through small, consistent actions rather than chaotic life overhauls.
Which is much more intimidating.
Yes. Step 1 is identifying one passion practice. This is simple. It could be dedicating 45 minutes on a Saturday to sketching, or writing 500 words on a topic that energizes you. It's a ritual to reconnect with your intrinsic energy without any pressure to monetize it yet.
Just for the love of it.
Step 2 is one skill development action. This stretches your competence. For example, spending 30 minutes twice a week studying a new framework or learning a new software tool relevant to your interests.
Building the capability.
Right. Step 3 is one contribution step. This bridges your internal clarity with external relevance. It might look like deliberately mentoring a junior employee at your firm for 1 hour a month, or volunteering your specific professional skills to a local charity.
So giving back, basically.
Yes. And step 4 is one income experiment, a low-risk test to see what the market values. Maybe you launch a small beta service or offer a freelance consulting hour to gather data on what people are actually willing to pay for.
Like a fantastic approach because it hits all 4 circles of the diagram in tiny, manageable ways. You don't have to quit your corporate job. You just start running these small experiments.
Exactly, data gathering.
And once you start gathering that data, the source guides you to build your ultimate decision framework, the IKIGAI Statement. It's a structured formula you can literally fill in the blanks for, almost like Mad Libs for your life's purpose.
It's a great tool.
Let me read the exact formula from the handbook so you can hear how it sounds. My Ikigai is to insert core contribution by using my strength in insert strength to serve insert audience or need while sustaining myself through insert sustainability mechanism.
Notice how that specific structure forces realism. It doesn't allow for vague, grandiose claims like, my purpose is to save the world and be happy.
Which is what everyone says.
Right. It demands extreme precision. What exactly is the transformation you offer? What specific tested skill are you leveraging? Who precisely is the audience that needs this? And practically, how does it pay for your life?
It pins you down.
Once you articulate that single sentence, it becomes a powerful filter. Before you take on a new project, accept a promotion, or make a major life commitment, you measure it against that statement. Does this opportunity align, or does it pull me off center?
It gets through all the daily noise. And that brings us to the final synthesis of everything we've uncovered from these incredible sources today. Finding your ikigai isn't this dramatic, over-not reinvention.
Not at all.
You don't need an eat, pray, love moment where you drop everything to find yourself. It is entirely about small, daily micro-alignments, consistency compounds. Doing one aligned action per week over a year will fundamentally transform your identity.
This raises an important question, though. In our modern culture, we almost always think of purpose as the act of doing more. We think we need to pile more activities, more projects, and more side hustles onto our already full plates in order to feel fulfilled.
And that perfectly sets up our final thought for you to mull over today. We've spent this entire deep dive talking about finding your ikigai through action, through integration, through building blueprints and curating your community. But consider the incredible power of
Inaction.
what if the fastest way to uncover your true reason for being isn't by adding a shiny new passion project to your life, but by aggressively deleting the obligations that are quietly draining your vitality? If you looked at your calendar and cleared the noise today, what empty space would you create? And more importantly, what would naturally rush in to fill it?